And we're here to announce the first ESPN pay-per-view in 20 years, although I got to tell you the truth, I don't remember the other ESPN pay-per-view. Does anyone remember the other ESPN pay-per-view? Oh, we are going back, although that seems like less than 20 years ago, Tom, but I guess time flies. Yeah. So it wasn't 20 years, it was 15 years, give or take. Anyway, we're very excited to be here, and I remember growing up watching ESPN fights when I was a kid. The budgets were what they were, and they were good kind of double-A fights. Bob and I were talking about the best one I could remember was Marlon Starling and Donald Curry in a USBA NABF fight. I was 9 or 10 years old, so it was 1982. And now we have the best pound-for-pound fighter in the world, or one of the two, with Lomachenko, who we also have, fighting a man that in boxing needs no introduction, Amir Khan, a silver medalist, involved in a million great fights. Dominant champion at times in his career, never afraid to take anyone on, and so here we are. Guys, Terence, you have thoughts about what's happening?
I'm just rolling with the wave.
You rolling with the waves? Why were you interested in Amir Khan?
Because he have a big name in the sport of boxing. And,
a little closer.
And he's actually a good fighter. And he's been in the ring with a lot of great fighters. All the other top welterweights in the division have fight dates, so why not me and Amir Khan team up and make for another great fight?
And Amir, you choose to take on Terence Crawford, who is literally, I can't think of a tougher assignment in the division, and come over here to do it instead of opportunities that were in your neck of the woods. And you talked about the opportunity to fight for a belt. What was the deciding factor for you?
First of all, it was because it's for a world title fight. Also, Terence is up there as one of the best pound-for-pound fighters in the world. This is a fight that could just take me to a different level. I know I'll go into this fight very motivated, working very hard, and I want to win this fight because I want to be the best in the world. And all them dreams I've had of being the best ever and one day being that pound-for-pound champion, I think this is the fight that can take me there.
Now, you have to realize that you're brought in and you're seen as the best available big-name fighter that they could make an event with. He is going to be favored, probably heavily. People see you as a guy who will put up a good fight in a losing effort. Not that you always show up to win, but that he is now at a different level. How do you respond to people who say that?
I mean, I know I've been reading a lot of things.
To me, for example.
I mean, yeah, I've been reading a lot of things and hearing a lot of things. A lot of people saying that I'm just taking this fight just to get beat or maybe just to have another world title fight. It isn't that. It isn't about that. I mean, I'm coming here to win. I've never gone into a fight just to make numbers. I mean, I've made a lot of money in the game and I could walk and leave the sport happy, but I choose that. I have still unfinished business. I've still got a lot left in me to win them titles. Maybe my last fight wasn't the best fight. Maybe that's one of the reasons that got me this fight. But I will prove myself going into this fight. I'm highly motivated knowing that Terence is a great champion. I'm not going to come there and walk into the ring just to get beat. I'm going to come to win this fight. And it's always great as well. I mean, I've not got that much pressure on me in this fight because people are expecting me to get beat. I'm going to come and shock the world, really.
Terence, we've seen Amir hit very high heights. I remember him beating Zab Judah and Paulie Malignaggi, who were good defensive in the middle of the ring, landing 3-punch combinations upstairs. He was considered a threat to the top pound-for-pound fighters in the world, and potentially one of them not long ago. Who are you expecting to show up fight night, April 20?
Well, I'm expecting the best Amir Khan to show up. I never take any shortcuts in training camp. I'm always training for the best fighter that fighter can possibly be. So I never look at it like, oh, well, he's coming half Amir Khan or he's washed up. We're going to train for the best Amir Khan.
Bob, what's the idea here?
The idea here is to make the best possible fight. We've been Terence's promoter for many, many years, and he's at a stage now where to cement his legacy, he has to fight the best. And I've always been a big fan of Amir Khan. I remember Amir Khan when he was an amateur and what great skills he had and has. And I thought it would be a real test for Bud Crawford to fight Amir Khan. I'm a big fan, but I really think Amir has been one of the best welterweights around, and I think it's going to be a great, great fight on April the 20th.
Bob, back in the day, when you and Don King were the two powers in terms of promotion in boxing, you guys could get together to make fights, and it could be the various destinations for those fights. Today's boxing landscape is much more siloed with promoters at different networks and different promoters controlling different fighters in the weight class. Having had Top Rank has been singularly successful in terms of building up individual stars, even from back when I mentioned Donald Curry, Marlon Starling era, Sugar Ray Leonard and Marvin Hagler and everybody else. How do you do that now with Terence Crawford, given the landscape in boxing as it is?
Terence Crawford, should he win the fight April 20th, will fight the best available welterweights in the world. And it's the world. They're tremendously gifted fighters. There's a kid in Spain that's the biggest attraction that Spanish boxing ever had, called La Raga, and he is a terrific fighter. There's the Eastern Europeans. There's a lot of good welterweight. If there are fighters fighting for another promoter, and the other promoter is digging his heels in and won't give his fighters the opportunity to be on a big stage, it's on them, and I can't be worried about it. Now look at this fight. We wanted to make a fight between Bud and Amir Khan. I had not had a lot of contact with Amir Khan. We were fortunate enough that we found somebody who had worked with us in the past and was very friendly with Amir Khan, a gentleman who is here now from California named Billy Keane. And Billy went over there and he spent 2 weeks getting messages back to me, from me to Amir, and because of his efforts, we were able to put this fight together. Now that's, if there's a will, there's a way. Don King was not the easiest guy to deal with, but if there was a fight that made sense and there was a will, there would be a way to make the fight.
And so from Matchroom's point of view, what is the idea here, having the fight in the United States against the most dangerous opponent that you could possibly select for a fighter who is still marketable, who can fight, who has the pedigree that he does, who you could make money with in other ways? What's the idea here?
I think, Max, that money really isn't a driver for someone like Amir, having achieved what he's achieved so far. You look at his resume, especially in the States, that Amir is the guy that's driven by legacy, he's driven by world titles. At this stage, like obviously the fight we're alluding to could be the Kell Brook fight in the UK. It's a fight that Matchroom wanted, but obviously Amir is...
And the easier fight as well. Trust me.
But he's
a fighter.
Yeah,
he's a fighter.
And you look at, well, obviously we've dealt with Terence in the past in the Ricky Burns fight, and Terence went over to Scotland, went over to the guy's backyard, ripped the world title away, and that's what's in Amir Khan's heart.
Well, I've noticed that Terence, one of the first things I noticed about him working the Prescott fight, which was his first fight on premium pay cable, was he had a mean streak in him. A lot of times boxers who can box him from both sides don't have that same kind of mean streak, but he does. And we saw him, he's scored knockouts and still been barking on the opponent after the fight. Does that make Terence better, or can he go into a fight with Amir, who's a gentleman, without those hard feelings, and can we still see A-plus Terence Crawford?
Well, Terence is just Terence. He's a gentleman outside the ring, but once he gets inside the ring, it's a whole nother switch. He turns it on. Regardless if the guy talks crap to him or not, it's something that he does. He got a job to do. He know he want to do it in good fashion. So that's when he turns it on, and he'll go out there and do his job.
Amir, do you feel that that this is not a last chance because you're a marketable fighter and you will be after this fight, whatever the outcome, but that you were seen not long ago as a logical opponent for either Pacquiao or Mayweather eventually, or sparring sessions with Pacquiao, as I mentioned, some of the performances you had on international television. You lost a big fight to Canelo. Everyone knew you were out of your weight class, but still you were knocked out. Now you're fighting the pound-for-pound champ. Is this, in a way, shot at reestablishing yourself or redemption for your career? Do you feel that you need to redeem your career somehow?
That's right. Yeah, you know, it's a fight that can redeem my whole career. For fighting against Canelo, maybe I was biting a bit too much than I can chew. I took that fight because it was just a massive opportunity for me, and I believe in myself as a fighter. Now, in this fight, I see that it's more. I mean, it's more fair in a sense where with similar weights, we've had similar experience. I mean, in my opinion, I'll be able to take his punch power, and he's also a quick and a skillful fighter. So there's a lot of advantages for me in this fight. And whereas in other fights, I've fought guys who are a lot stronger, a lot bigger in weight, which plays a big part. But in this fight, I mean, I really think I have the style and everything that it takes to win this fight. And I'm not just coming into this fight just to lie there or be a name on his resume. I'm coming here to win. I had other big options in the UK, fighting the likes of Kell Brook and other names that were making me a lot of money. But I chose this fight because this is what I need for my
whatever people think the outcome will be, and he will be the substantial favorite, no one thinks of you as a guy who sees himself as an opponent, obviously, the way you fought every time.
I've never been one of them.
Clearly, in fact, the criticism that I have of you is your heart gets in the way of your head at times. Even when your chin has betrayed you, you're trying to get back up on your feet and keep fighting.
Yeah, I mean, that's sometimes you let your heart fight for you instead of you using your mind and your brain. I mean, now, as I'm getting older now, I'm going to be a lot more focused. I've changed my whole training camp. Got back with Virgil Hunter, where, you know, I've had a great career with him. With my I've got the same strength conditioner in Tony Brady, who's helped me get strong and get my fitness high. But in this fight, I just need to go back to basics again. In the 147-pound division, I am unbeaten. That's what I'm naturally better at, and that's the right weight for me. So it's not like putting too much muscle on. I want to be what I'm happy at and go into this fight, really.
Terence, this is professional boxing. You fight to make a living. We heard Amir say, though, he took this fight because he wants to prove himself against the best, and you're the best. What's motivating you right now, other than the fact that this is how you make a living? Are you concerned about your legacy? Do you want to be the best pound for? Is that significant for you to be considered best pound for pound? We heard Bob say that he thinks you would have been beaten Sugar Ray Leonard, in Sugar Ray Leonard's prime, and Bob is obviously the promoter. But what's important to you? What motivates you?
To be the best. That's what motivated me all my life. Anything I do, I want to be the best. There's no second place. So if I got to use Amir Khan as a stepping stone to get to the top end of the division, then that's what I got to do. I just look at it as he's in the way of what I'm trying to accomplish. And yeah, he's a good opponent. Yes, he got a good name. Yes, he's fast, but I'm fast too.
You can box, you can switch hit, as I mentioned, but you're also a nasty finisher. Is scoring a knockout important to you?
If it comes, it comes. I never go into training camp or into a fight looking for a knockout except 2 fights.
But you smile when you say the word knockout.
I believe I only went in like one fight looking for the knockout. But
you and Lomachenko, stablemate, promotional stablemates, as I mentioned. Consensus is one of you two is the best pound-for-pound fighter in the world. Because you're seemingly too big to fight him, because not every opponent in the world is available to either one of you. Each fight, people look and they measure one against the other to kind of make up their mind. Do you consider that at all? Is that important to you to be, not only to win, but to win impressively so people say, that guy, that's the best pound-for-pound fighter in the world?
Well, it's still opinion. It doesn't bother me because no matter what me or Amir Khan do, there's still going to be somebody that's saying, oh, no, Amir Khan was washed up, or Amir Khan can't take it to the chin, or it's going to be something every time I win, you know? So I don't look at it as everybody else look at it. I don't really care. It's just an opinion. If I feel like I'm number one in the world, then that's all that matters.
Your backstory has been well chronicled in boxing. Your relationship with your mother, your upbringing, the fact that you were shot in the head and drove yourself to the emergency room and continued your career as a fighter, and all those things. But we are in an era where we most recently saw Floyd Mayweather be the big money maker in the sport, and he did it by having a kind of a cocky, arrogant persona and talking it up. And there's a sense that in boxing, you need to have showmanship outside the ring in order to help your business. You are a much more soft-spoken person. Do you have thoughts about that?
Sometimes, but I always allude to why is it always the black fighters gotta go out there and act a certain way to sell a fight? You know, Manny Pacquiao, Oscar De La Hoya, Miguel Cotto, they were successful with being themselves. They didn't have to act a certain way for people to tune in to watch them display their talent. But as a black fighter, everybody always saying, oh man, you gotta talk, you gotta do this, you gotta do that. No, I just be myself. As long as I keep winning in tremendous fashion, then that's all that matters.
Do you think that's a result of Mayweather being the last big money maker that was seen and he was an African-American fighter? Or is that some kind of racial prism through which the media, even unconsciously, even without being aware of it, views fighters and black fighters?
Of course that's how they view us. You know, when you look at Ali, Mike Tyson, Roy Jones, they was very outgoing speakers, you know, so when they look at the greats, then they come back and say, oh, well, look at Jack Johnson, how he was, you know. So I think that's just the perspective that they get when they talk about black fighters.
Interesting. 20th will be the first pay-per-view since Thomas Hauser had it since the Shane Mosley fight in 2005, Thomas? 2005, so 14 years. I guess, what are we throwing it open to questions now? What's the story? Yep. You want to face off with the two? Can the fighters face off?
And then we're going to do questions?
Media's afterwards.
Oh, let's do questions now. Let's do it the English way.
Yeah, mate.
Hey, come on. We want questions from the floor.
Open it up. Bryn, you got nothing to ask? I'm surprised. Yeah.
Where will this fight be at?
Well, that's a good question. Todd is handling that aspect, and he's talking with the MGM and with Madison Square Garden, and wherever is the best arrangement for the fighters, that's where it's going to be. But we'll have an announcement hopefully next week.
Amir, KICKOFF actually wrote about you before the Canelo fight. I was in your Oakland apartment, but that's not really significant. I don't think your skills have ever been in doubt before any fight. People doubt versus Canelo, is that a weight class you should be in? And I remember before that fight, my thought was, if you can survive Maidana's punches without going to the canvas, maybe you can survive Canelo's. Is there a way for you to recapture the chin that you showed in the Maidana fight?
Yeah, I mean, Canelo was just way too big in that fight. I'm sure there's a lot of people that, if they were hit with a shot like that, especially in the welterweight division, they would have been put down. We're just gonna work hard in training camp and have some heavier guys coming in to spar with, and I'm gonna get back on my strength conditioning as well. So I'm sure that'll help.
I have a follow-up to that, actually. The fighters who don't have good chins are the fighters who get hit on the chin. No one has a good chin. So if you're getting caught there, that's why you're going down, right?
Exactly.
Is that an issue with your defense?
I think it's defensively, and not only that, I think what happens is if you're running onto a shot, it's going to hit you twice as hard. And at times I might not have the balance and I jump onto shots and I rush because I'm so quick and I want to move as quick as well with my footwork so they can keep up with my hands. You end up running onto shots unexpecting that something's going to hit you hard.
Can I just do one follow-up
Go ahead.
really quick? The fight that I think of then is Danny Garcia, where your skills were winning the day, and then just by virtue of one moment of timing, Danny sees the advantage and puts you down. How do you train to not do that? How does that not happen again?
As you get older, you get wiser. And I know that in a fight like this, I can't make any mistakes because he's a great finisher, is Crawford. So I'm going to have to be smart in this fight and just keep my boxing. I mean, what wins me fights is my boxing skills. I have to stick to them and be very smart and not rush into it. I might see red in a fight, I might see someone get hurt, I might catch it with a good shot, I want to go for the finish. But as I'm getting older now, I'm getting a lot more wiser and more patient. So I'm going to keep more patient in this fight.
Yeah. Don't get caught in.
Question for Amir. Did you see anything in the Gamboa fight with Crawford that you could use to your advantage? First 3 rounds, obviously you finished that.
I mean, in every fight.
Pick
you
up the
watch-
mic, Terence. What's up?
Everybody always talk about Gamboa. That was 2014.
But Gamboa, Terence, was, it seemed to me, he's a smaller guy, but super fast, and it seemed like he could match your athletic ability early in the fight. Do you think that Amir is the kind of fighter, also super fast, who can match you athletically? Is that something you actually, you have to think about early in the fight?
We shall see.
Leave. Is there anyone else who has a quick question for Terence? Otherwise, before you leave, why, when someone brings up that question to Amir, what do you think? You smile, like you have a smile to yourself. What are you smiling about?
I don't know. It's just everybody always allude to the Gamboa fight. Oh, Gamboa hurt him, this and that. But since then, I've been hit with bigger shots than what Gamboa hit me with, and I walked through them.
Are you saying that you've improved since then, or that people weren't seeing the right thing since at that time?
Most definitely.
Most definitely what? You've improved since then?
I've improved. I've showed that I can take a better shot than what Gamboa hit me with. I just felt like at that point in time in my career, I got a little too cocky, and I walked right into the shot without even looking at it. Gamboa's fast. He has fast feet, fast hands, and on top of that, he's much shorter than Amir Khan. So if you go back and watch the fight, yeah, I was missing him, but I was missing him by an inch because of his height. Amir Khan is much taller than Gamboa. He's a bigger target than Gamboa, so I don't look to be missing Amir Khan like I was missing Gamboa.
Champ, go catch your flight. Thanks for being here.
Thank you.
Amir Khan.